There's a party going on at the White House. Justin Timberlake, Al Green, Ben Harper, Queen Latifah, and Cyndi Lauper. Just a few of the A-list celebrities. Well, that's being nice. In some of these cases, performing at the White House tonight. Something that is not sitting well with some Americans. The Washington Times running a story titled Obama's 1% lifestyle hits a nerve. Chris Direwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor and host of Power Play on FoxNews.com Live. Well, certainly some of them are A-listers, but, you know, not all of them are A-listers who are going to the White House today. In fact, a lot of these people I've never heard of. But there's no question that, you know, you got Justin Timberlake, Queen Latifah, Cyndi Lauper, and so on. These are big celebrities, big musicians, and they are going to perform on the taxpayers' dime for the Obamas, yes, but they're going to stream it live on PBS, so I guess it's for all of us. And it has led to a lot of criticism along the lines of that we've been discussing, Chris, which is can't afford to open up the People's House to tours. The people can't go see the White House that they pay for, but the Obamas can see Queen Latifah and Justin Timberlake.
Well, now, it has been a long time since Cyndi Lauper and Lou Albano were on the pop charts, it is true. But Al Green is forever awesome, and I have to stand up for Reverend Al Green, who is forever...
I saw your jaw drop when I raised the question.
I was appalled that the great Reverend Al Green, would be included in anything that is not the A-list, madam. That is a big deal. He is awesome.
Correction noted. So, but this is more of the same, right?
Well, it's more of the same, and it's also this. If we think back, if we use history as our guide, back when Bill Clinton was fighting with Republicans in the House, which is our template for this, and they did government shutdowns, partial government shutdowns back in the day, back in 95 and 96. It was for a couple weeks at a time, and you bump into it, well, close the Washington Monument, and Bill Clinton could tell his wife and tell his family and tell the social secretaries and tell everybody, cheese it. We got to be cool for a while. Don't do anything because this is the austerity, this is the shock and awe, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But the president's playing a long game on these cuts and talking about these cuts. He ramped it up big, well in advance of the imposition of even the beginning of them, and they happen slowly, these changes, as you say. This is a slow process, and as we've already seen, it's been mitigated substantially by spending legislation in Congress, but that means that the president is now playing a long game, and he has to tell his wife, and he has to tell the social directors and other people, whatever you do is going to be seen by the American people through a different lens while we're pulling this budget stuff.
That's the thing. I mean, the employers... workers have been furloughed, and the president is the one who is running around giving us these dire warnings of how bad these spending changes were going to be and how we shouldn't do them, and then we did them, and we did them pursuant to legislation he signed, and now he's going to have this great party at the White House where they're going to have a grand old time, I'm sure, with Justin Timberlake. But how exactly will that make the members of the military who have been furloughed feel as they're watching this celebration? I know it's been done for 30 years. I mean, this is a part of an ongoing concert series at the White House, but that doesn't change the perception for the people who are sitting on their couch wondering where their job is.
Well, we call it the White House because in the past we have not liked to call it by its real name, which is Executive Mansion. That sounds pretty fancy, but it fulfills all those functions. It fulfills those things, state dinners and fancy pants and all of those things, and including a celebration in this case of the Memphis Sound and the awesome Al Green. But here's the problem: when you are taking the approach that the president's taking, and people are suffering, not only in a bad economy, but government workers are losing 14 days of pay and things like that. Well, it looks a little different, and that's the problem with this long game.
Imagine the cost of security for this event, having all these folks coming to the White House. And that's the thing. The cost of security is the reason we can't access our White House right now. The people cannot go for a White House tour because the president says the cost of security is too high. He blames it on the Secret Service. But the cost of security for tonight's event is apparently not a problem. And this is what Joe Kroll was trying to get at in his piece, saying, look, the Obamas have taken some lavish vacations. The president's off to Hawaii, the first lady's skiing in Aspen, the vice president's going over to Europe, meeting with leaders one night at a time, but on a bill of $1 million to the American taxpayers. I mean, we're footing a lot of expensive vacations for the first family. And his point is a little austerity might be in order at the top in a time like this when, when the people are being shut out of their own house.
And the president put himself in this jam because he lowered the threshold for what an acceptable amount of spending to discuss. The federal government is a government that spends $3.6 trillion a year. How would you ever think about increments of money so small? And it just becomes a rounding error. But when the president started talking about $74,000 a week or so to have security for those school tours, he set the threshold himself. His administration set the threshold itself by saying this is an acceptable amount of money to discuss, and that lowered the bar way down, and the next thing you know, we're talking about all the money that gets wasted around town, and it's significant.
So you are an Al Green fan, just to confirm. Yes.
For the record, yes, ma'am. Let's stay together.
All right, Chris. See you time after time.
You bet.